Apologies if you're distracted by the sound of my pounding heart right now. Contemporary art is hard to understand. Who of you here understands it? Not getting many answers there, so I'm assuming not so many people. Personally, I don't really understand it myself, and I've been working in art for 15 years. I have my own unique way of understanding it, just like everyone else could have their own unique way of understanding it. That's the point of contemporary art. Now, what comes in your mind when you hear of collecting art? For many people, it represents crazy wealth, eccentric parties, the most famous of artists. The art world has been described to me as opaque, as hard to access, as elitist. Yeah, and all of these are rather accurate descriptions, but that's just a small part of the art world. Only a minuscule part of art production makes it to the high-end market. There's a whole world out there of people making, exhibiting, selling, and collecting art that don't participate in that game of bling. Collecting is more than that. Collecting is a selective process that makes you pave your own path, discovering and building your taste along the way. There are benefits of self-development in that process. It is a way to form a relationship with art, but in my opinion, it can be a way to possibly form a better relationship to yourself. I want to share with you a way to help you transform that doesn't require your savings account. Art has the power to generate change. It can spark metamorphosis, a metamorphosis of individuals, of communities, of ideologies, and beliefs. Let's take a look at this image. Think about how deeply Andy Warhol's soup cans changed our perception of what art can be. Warhol celebrated the everyday American product, Campbell's tomato soup, as something worthy of being depicted in a painting. It is the conceptual child of Marcel Duchamp's fountain. I mean, after this, anything can be art. And it is not unlike Caravaggio's radical paintings at the time of saints portrayed with the faces of everyday working men. Examples like these in history are infinite. Now, would you like to be introduced to unfamiliar ideas in an experiential way that facilitates their understanding? Contemporary art can do this for you. Engaging with it is an opportunity to expand your mental abilities of applying meaning. You might even find yourself more compassionate and open to diversity by the warm feeling of connecting to others through their art. Have you ever found parts of yourself mirrored in a movie or in a book that you're reading? How did that make you feel? Art can be a way of better understanding others, but it can also help us better understand ourselves. The only requirement? Spending time with it, making art, seeing art, even collecting art. Now, I grew up with a dream of becoming an artist. It was a long dream, my mother, who is here, remembers. But life is unpredictable, and after I worked as an exhibition producer, an artist assistant, a sales director, here I am, an art advisor, and also a collector. So art advisors do several things. Basically, we advise people what to collect, but we're also educators, art market experts, and navigators of the art world's unwritten laws. You can think of collecting as a journey into the world of art. The art advisor's role is to make sure that the journey is secure, educational, fruitful, and my personal favorite, multidimensional. Now, I want to share with you a couple of things that I learned about collecting in my years as an art advisor. Collecting is a relationship you can build with art that includes a universal, quantifiable language: money. Everybody speaks money. It doesn't have to be all about money. It's just that a number can be easier to understand than some abstract comment. The market is a system of classification, and to many people, price represents significance. Personally, I am less interested in a quantifiable language and more curious to find out why certain amazing artists do not fit the market. In the many hats I changed in the art world, I came to realize that the different relationships we build with art affect what we seek from it. In collecting, there are ways to connect with our art that are unexpectedly deep and complex. Now, when people hire me, they start sending me emails about the things they like and what they don't like, and they expect me to quickly translate that into a buying spree. The first step for me, and I think for many of my fellow art advisors, is excavating the purpose behind their wanting to buy art. Here are a couple of reasons people think they want to buy art or initially come to you to buy art. Walls. Can you feel the absence? I can feel that absence, if you can feel it. They've heard investment stories. Some of you might have heard about this one. Yes, this is a painting that's shredded itself during an auction. They love a fancy party. The art world has been throwing this for decades. Has been throwing fancy parties for decades. Yes, all these needs could be met, but purposeful collecting runs deeper than that. Purpose can be the core of metamorphosis. Collectors with purpose want to be educated in depth, and they're open to grow from that experience. I realized the transformative impact art would have in my life as an undergrad student at Goldsmiths University in London. Going to exhibitions was part of our education. After my professors crashed any belief I held about the world, I was given the keys to understanding the art of our times. It had more to do with a state of mind with which to engage with art. We were taught to look with an open mind, and that the words to describe artworks are as ambiguous as the artworks themselves. At the time, art was a journey, but the destination was knowledge. A certain artwork was just an opportunity for a new intellectual quest. Now, that was my way of connecting to art as a student. There are many different ways to connect to art. I want to share with you a couple of the different relationships I built with art over the years, because it might give you some good ideas. Now, back to Goldsmiths. My favorite class at the time was post-colonial studies. For the first time in my life, I realized how deeply embedded social inequality is in our visual cultures. From the images that surround us, we are fed these foul beliefs from the very moment we start perceiving the world. Artists like Kara Walker that make art about identity issues raised my awareness on how assumption can mean exclusion. Working in art meant being in a world where difference is valued, appreciated, and celebrated. Very different to how I perceived the world growing up in Athens. Now, I can guarantee that you too will experience a whole different world just by taking time with contemporary art. It is an experiential rather than a strictly intellectual way of learning. You will grow your imagination and your ability to think in abstract ways, thanks to the absolute freedom of applying meaning that contemporary art offers you. Now, using the paradigm of collecting as a means to engage with contemporary art, I want to share with you a couple of steps that will help you flourish. First of all, it requires some interest for the visual arts and some curiosity. Thankfully, I'm here to spark that curiosity. Contemporary art touches on many subjects, be that aesthetics, politics, there's even art about sports. You most probably will find something to connect to. Just give it a chance. Now, you can start this journey by forming your very own imaginary art collection. That is a compilation of digital or physical photographs of artworks you like. When you see a work you like, take a picture and note the details: artist's name, title, date, and medium. Medium is what it's made of. Either file these in your computer, paste them on your walls, live with them. Cohabitation unfolds new meanings, just like two people that get to know each other better over time. You're going to start noticing narratives and patterns in your taste. It's going to make you, as time advances, it can become a treasure hunt of missing pieces that fit thematically or historically, rather than just looking for works that you find aesthetically pleasing. It will make you think of the works in a conceptual or historical basis, rather than strictly a qualitative one. This means that instead of using words like, "Oh, this is so pretty, I like it," "No, this is terrible," you're going to look deeper for more complex qualities to describe an artwork. Essentially, you are already teaching yourself new ways of understanding contemporary art. If you're doing this, congratulations, you are already evolving. Now, the next step would be going to galleries. I cannot emphasize that enough. Galleries are not as boring as you think. Galleries are free. You're going to find ample material there for your imaginary art collection, the one you just started. It's also important to notice how works are grouped in an exhibition and try and think of the reason behind it. Don't shy away from asking help from the gallery staff. A gallery is not just there to sell the work. They're there to communicate the work of the artist to the world. The gallery's role can and should be educational as well. Now let's pretend we're inside a contemporary art gallery. I brought my friend's gallery from New York. How are we feeling? Are we feeling at ease? Are we curious? Are we ready to go to the bar next door? What an opportunity to be in a quiet space with nothing to do but experience your surroundings. If you're getting a need to understand what you're looking at, let it go. There is nothing to understand. Contemporary art is not made to be understood. Art today is a means of expression that allows its makers to be as illegible or as abstract as they wish in the expression of their thoughts, ideas, and emotions. If anything, an artist is interested in your personal take. Which brings us to my favorite part, the absolutely biggest gift contemporary art has to offer. I call it unresolved meaning. It is when you're kind of grasping a concept, but not completely understanding it. You can't wrap your head around it, just like life's greatest existential questions. What's the size of the universe? To me, it brings an exciting yet uncomfortable feeling paired with kind of like a tingling sensation in my body. Unresolved meaning can expand our definition of understanding to something beyond emotional or logical analysis. It is the result of the absolute freedom contemporary art gives us in applying meaning. Unresolved meaning can metamorphose you into an empath, but also into a trailblazer. Now, the visual definition of unresolved meaning, I found the visual definition of unresolved meaning in the work of Matthew Barney. I was 22 years old, and I was interning as an assistant in the production of his exhibition on the island of Hydra. If you watch Cremaster Cycle, Barney's epic cinematic opera, you will be instantly transported into a world full of symbols and hidden meanings. It's visually thrilling, for sure, but not an easy read. In its many meanings, the Cremaster Cycle is also an allegory for the creative process. Barney links the creative process to the biological process of the formation of gender in an embryo. I'm going to say this again because it's complicated. Barney links the creative process to the biological process of the formation of gender in an embryo. And here's a graph to make things easier. On the upper part, indifferent stage. That is a moment in time where the embryo has not yet shown any indication of gender. In its ambiguity, this is for Barney the most potently creative stage, when everything is still possible. Barney's work became my favorite allegory for the open-endedness of meaning in contemporary art and the visual representation of unresolved meaning. Furthermore, some Barney works, to make it a bit more complicated. Furthermore, it helped me realize the importance of collecting experiences that gave me the opportunity to work with unresolved meaning. That was instrumental in my journey of self-actualization. Now there is one more step in free collecting and experiencing art as a means to metamorphosis. I have 1 minute left. We're going to go really quickly now. There's one more step, attending gallery openings. That is for the social type, but you're going to meet a lot of people there, and you're going to see how very many different people perceive the same artwork in different ways. Also, what is more transformative than engaged conversation with people beyond their immediate circle? Now, for anybody here that thought collecting is just a hobby for people with accumulated wealth, I'm sure you now understand it can take many forms, and it can, in fact, be a means to self-development. The different relationships we form with art affect what we seek from it, and therefore how we understand it. Collecting can be one of these many entry points to a relationship with art. The expanded notion of understanding found in the concept of unresolved meaning can expand our mental abilities to perceive the world in a less rigid way. Contemporary art can also metamorphose us into empaths and help us better understand others. You can get all of these benefits by attending galleries, openings, and keeping an imaginary art collection. This was my humble roadmap to metamorphosing to a better version of yourself by engaging with contemporary art. Are you already feeling different? And it will only get better. Thank you.